She is a commentator at the New Culture Forum, former NHS nurse, Amy Gallagher. Hello, Amy.
Hi, Kevin. You're right.
Yeah, good to see you. I thought about you when I saw this story. The BBC, I mean, it seems to sort of basically let nearly all of its staff work from home, but it's specifically now allowing staff to work from home if they are worried about the BBC's trans lavatory policy, which presumably is to let everybody go into every single loo. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? We've had this Supreme Court ruling and politicians across the political spectrum, including Keir Starmer and Wes Streeting, have all said, you know, this is the new ruling, sex means biological sex and workplaces should be providing single-sex spaces. We've even had the Equality and Human Rights Commission publishing interim guidance saying that this is what workplaces need to do. And yet the BBC doesn't want to do it. I don't know if it's just cowardice. I don't know if it's that they're worried about transgender activists. I mean, they're claiming that they're waiting for the final guidance to come through, and it's going to go through Parliament. But I mean, the interim guidance is very clear, and this isn't rocket science. It's just providing single-sex spaces. It's not. You don't need reams and reams of guidance in order to do it. And the idea that you would say to people, if you don't like the fact that we're being cowardly on this issue, you can just work from home. I mean, working from home was an emergency measure brought in under COVID, right? And we've never really gotten over that for some reason. In the public sector, lots of people now work from home. We're actually one of the worst in Europe for working from home. And, we never used to do that before COVID. But the idea that because a public sector doesn't want to enforce a Supreme Court ruling that sex means biological sex, therefore you can work from home. It's just absurd. I mean, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, it really is. It's the BBC saying, although the Supreme Court has effectively told us we must have separate loos, separate private spaces for men and women, biological men and women, we, the national state broadcaster that the public pay for, aren't going to go along with that. We're going to defy the Supreme Court's ruling and not provide separate safe spaces for women and men. And if you don't like that, you'll have to work from home. It's crazy.
It's crazy, and this is our public broadcaster. They're supposed to be, impartial, and yet they don't even want to enforce, the law. Essentially, they're more to the left, or they're more woke than the Labour Party at this point. And it's very interesting. There was a recent nationwide survey conducted by the BBC asking people, their opinion of it. And one of the things that came through is that a large proportion of people felt that it was too politically correct, that it was obsessed with diversity, and it needed to dial down and be more impartial. The director, Tim Davis, said that we're taking this on board and we're going to thinking about what to do about it. But they're clearly not, because their policies behind the scenes are, as I said, more woke than the Labour Party. So they don't care about what the licence fee paying people think. Actually, they just want to go ahead and push woke policies, indefinitely, it seems.
It's really crazy. Let's go slightly off piste. I know you haven't prepared for this, but I think it's an interesting topic. Brigitte Macron, the president's wife, Emmanuel Macron's wife, Brigitte. I couldn't care less whether she's a biological male or not, but it does seem to be the issue of the moment. Some hackers have got into her tax returns, apparently, and turned her sex, her gender, to male on her tax forms. All very upsetting for her. Candace Owens, the American YouTuber, huge following, millions of people watch her. She did a series saying that Brigitte Macron was born a man, was born biologically male. Obviously, Brigitte denies this, so does the president. They deny it so much so, they've now launched legal action against Brigitte, against Candace Owens for saying that Brigitte Macron is basically a bloke. And so Brigitte Macron, this is what I want to ask you, Amy, just what you think about this. Brigitte Macron's going, I've got pictures I can prove, I've got photographs of when I was at school, photographs, I've got records, I've got documents. Why doesn't she just say, I will undergo a chromosome test? I mean, it takes 5 minutes. that will establish. Why doesn't she do that?
I guess the only reason I can think of, I mean, I do agree. I mean, this whole issue that it must be horrible for her that this is constantly in the press, and as you say, if she could just stop it, you wonder why she would. I guess that the only thing I can think of is that it's a matter of principle that she's saying, well, why should I have to? Because I guess if she has to, then maybe, anybody could be accused of being trans, and then do we all have to, undergo a chromosome test? So maybe she's just thinking, well, I shouldn't have to do this. But I think what's happened with both of them is that their pushback against this, the Macrons, I mean, has kind of backfired, because they are getting so much publicity about this. If they had just ignored Candace, or if they had just maybe, quietly submitted some evidence or something like that, but because they've been digging their heels in so much, it's caused such a media storm around that, where there is now mounting pressure on her to prove her sex, and yeah, it's a very strange story, and like I said, Candace Owens gets lots and lots of views, so I think, from their perspective, I guess they felt that they needed to respond to it. But the fact that it's ended up with a lawsuit is and she could just prove it, I guess. But
well, that's the thing. The thing is, Amy, she sued Candace Owens, obviously, in America. Now, if this goes to court, the American system will just say, well, Bridge, you've got to take a test. We can prove this.
So she can't avoid it. If she's going via the legal route, she's going to have this kind of test done anyway. So you do wonder why she would not, waste all the time and energy and money going through a lawsuit when she could just prove it now. But I guess maybe she was wondering that if she doesn't do that, there'll conspiracy theories all arise, and people will say, well, she didn't really submit a chromosome test, and if she does it via the legal route, it will be kind of proper and above board. I don't know, but it's a very strange story.
It sure as hell is. It's very strange. Amy, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Amy Gallagher, brilliant woman, commentator at the New Culture Forum.